So, next up, and our final presentation of the evening, and then we're going to have a raffle. So we'll have a few minutes that you guys can get some raffle tickets if you want. Is Rich and Zeth from Whispering Wind Bamboo, all the way from Tippahoo. Yeah, baby. Remember from Tippahoo because of that pair of feet.
Okay, thank you everybody for having us and staying late. I hope you weren't falling asleep like I was. But,
You need the lights off? You're going to do
yes,
slides,
we are.
right?
We have some slides. This is some information that we gathered from a grant from the SARE people, and we didn't have a chance to get too much outreach in Maui, so we appreciate being able to be here tonight. And it's all part of our bamboo agenda. Seth Rabe and I and Ryan Zuko are the three employee owners of Whispering Winds Bamboo Cooperative Corporation. We're actually a bona fide corporation organized under cooperative models. We're not here to talk about that tonight, but if you want to talk to us after the meeting, we'd love to share some of that. It has allowed us to buy Whispering Winds from the owner who we helped develop it with 10 years ago. We started planting our 18-acre bamboo plantation in 2003. We finished in 2005. We also have a bamboo nursery selling landscape plants and timber plants if you want to grow some more bamboo on your own lands, which are now available for funding from Leo's NRCS group. We're also a part of the 180-acre Olahanua Reforestation Project, which is in part of a forest stewardship project with the Division of Forestry, part of the state. We're certified organic, we're also certified biodynamic, and again, we're employee owned and managed. We have an apprenticeship program. We have about 7 or 8 young folks living on the farm, working with us, learning with us. We also have 3 or 4 people on payroll, commuting to the farm and working, helping with the bamboo stuff. So let's move forward. This is an aerial view of the bamboo plantation just after we put it in 2005, just after it was done. And we can go forward. 2010, we were right in the middle of that big heavy drought. We thought, oh, it's bamboo, it's Kipahulu, no big deal. Turns out water during the shooting season is a huge deal for bamboo. Huge, huge deal. So one of the things we didn't do, we didn't put any water infrastructure in it. Leo's actually helping us remedy that situation now. This is a shot I took this morning. This is my 2-inch wide cell phone in a brand new Guadawa comb. So I'm thinking that that's at least 8 inches in diameter in 8 years. 9 years, whatever, 2000, that was a 2003 planting. So bamboo, the beautiful thing about bamboo is it's fast, it returns quickly, it comes on every year, and we see it as the building material of the future. If you can buy 2x4s from Home Depot or anybody downtown, you know that their quality's going down. Bamboo will allow us to let those forests rest and rejuvenate and supply us with building materials, and that's what we're all about. We're trying to provide a locally grown building material for the islands.
Great.
There is a great look. But some of the things we've learned is that you just don't take bamboo out of the woods and start using it. Age of the comb. Someone tell me why she did it. Age of the comb is extremely important. If you're harvesting for long-term building, you're just making a holly for a few years, no big deal. So we mark every one of our poles with a different color that's based on the year that it was a shoot. So the pink here was a shoot last year. The purple was a shoot in 2009, I believe. We have black, there's a black shoot over there. Green is this year's color. Red we've used, whatever. So it's very important if you're managing a bamboo plantation to know how old your cones are. Because if they get too old, their quality and strength is less, and if they're too young, they'll crack and wither as though they were too old. Here's a couple shots here of the plantation in 2004, and this is the same, and the next slide is the same perspective.
How distant centers?
Depending upon the species, this Hirose was planted on 18-foot centers, 18 to 20-foot centers. And the canopy's closed in. None of the understory, the grasses and whatnot have been weed eated or mowed since we planted 7 years ago. Next, please. Here again, the black Atrovaliaceae in 2004, and the next shot today. Whole forest canopy. Next shot, please. Another one, another part of the plantation. Next shot. So it's a fast-growing plant. Grows particularly well here on the islands. And here, and this one and the next one, you can see this was a hedge we put in 2005, and then there it is today. Well, bamboo, it shoots every year, so it'll put out new material every year, and that shoot comes out of the ground at its finished diameter. So that 8-inch guadua pole we were looking at earlier with my cell phone in it, that was the size of the shoot, and it reaches its final height in 90 days. Then, in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, it hardens, matures, grows branches and leaves, and you harvest that. So it's not like how much does it grow. So as the clump is maturing, it'll double in height every year for about 5 or 6 years, and then it will reach its species limit, and the shoots will go to that height every year. Oh yeah, this was a great, so here is a shoot in the drought year. Notice the distance between the nodes, and here it is, same species, in a regular water year. So water is a big deal. Next, please. All right, so not only is water a big deal during the growing season, we discovered some things about post-harvest. We thought, well, if we grow it, it's bamboo, we just harvest it and go. Wrong. We had a major infestation of powder post beetles hitting our bamboo after we harvested it. We lost a whole year's worth of harvest to them. I mean, we came down and it was just literally mounds of powder on the ground, on the floor. Yeah, not a great thing. And not a great thing trying to develop a market or a whole bamboo initiative here on the island. Hey, buy my sawdust. So, consumer comments, longevity in the structure. Who wants to spend money on putting up a structure and then have it eaten away? Exactly. We did some literature search and looked at local indigenous knowledge from around the world. Nothing was really a sure thing about what they were doing. In many places, local indigenous cultures had the ability to just harvest a new pole, put it in place, build a new building, and carry on. Unfortunately, we can't do that here, although we'd love to. So, with the help of J. Kenneth Grace and his folks at the University of Hawaii, Manoa, and Sayre paid them, and John Wood was a cooperative farmer, and Jeff Lloyd is the borate king on the mainland who provides the borate for borate treated lumber and our bamboo. We put this thing together, so we'll just go through this quickly, I hope. This is our farm, right? This is what was happening to our bamboo post-harvest. They were 4-year-old cones. They weren't outside in the rain, this was all undercover. Here's what happens if your comb isn't 4 years old, so that was a mismark. Here's more powder post fetal damage. Unacceptable, obviously. And so this next series of slides is from Dr. Grace's entomology lab. You can just see that he tested termites in 6 species of bamboo. This is the guadua. You can just see they went to town. None of the species showed significant inherent resistance to termites. And none of our species showed inherent resistance to powder post beetle, with the exception maybe of the black Atrovaliaceae did very, very well, where everything around it did not. All this information, I think, is on the website. Yeah? Yeah. So you can have this, and there's also a survey that if you filled out, we can, just kind of adds to the helping get more funding, because, even though we were able to draw these conclusions, we now like to test 4-year-old material, 5-year-old material, and different protocols and whatnot. We also have 4 or 5 species that didn't get tested at all, so it's kind of a big unique place. Next. Here's another example of us marking our poles, although the color isn't great. This is actually a lime green, and that's a pink and black, and there's a purple up in there. showing the different years. So it's easy for my workers to go in and know what to harvest this year. Based on the results of our disastrous powder post beetle year and the results of the testing with the university, we put another grant together and got some assistance from Tri-Isle actually to put in a pressure-treated bamboo treatment system. This was built for us in China. We hold the bamboo under pressure for 90 minutes, about 200 psi. It's a 2% solution of tetrahydroborate, something like that. But in order for that to be effective, we need to drill out the centers of the bowls throughout their entire length. Otherwise, the pressure will implode the bamboo, and even if it doesn't, the skin of the bamboo, that beautiful bamboo skin, is highly siliceous, and so it doesn't take a finish, doesn't paint well. The borate solution doesn't impregnate it well, so we impregnate from the inside out. And we actually, one of these slides coming up, here's it from the back end. These two tanks here is where the solution gets stored. We're able to reuse the solution, just add more to it for the next batch, so there's no, everything goes into the bowl. This is the boring operation. It's just a drill with a piece of rebar and a drill bit welded to the end of it. And every hole gets drilled out before it goes in the pressure treater.
Boring.
Great. And so this is a slide. So, you do this thing and you go, have we done anything? It's a yellow solution, but you can't see it on the green comb on the outside. So we sent these samples back to Jeff Nissis's group in Arkansas, I think he is. And he dyed them, and the red and pink is the penetration of borate salts, and you can see right up to the edge. So we're getting really great penetration and absorption, and our powder post beetle problems subsided. Yeah. And then, of course, then you have to cure them. So you're not even done with them. You got to stack them. We stickered them so that the air circulation through them is significant, and it really takes, in some cases, 3 or 4 months if we're in a wet time for them to lose enough moisture to be stable enough to go to market and be used. Sometimes we stand them up. These are shorter, narrower poles. More and more. And we're not done creating the bamboo agenda. We'd all like to see the day where we can pick this up and use it as we do a 2x4 in a building that's code approved with the county or whatever. So we're a long way from that. We need to continue to increase the skills and techniques for building. Toward that end, the Kihei Charter School, a guy called me today, Stuart something, is holding a competition, not only for building, but for the whole spectrum of green and alternative agriculture, building, energy, everything that this group is involved in. Starting now and going through the spring, he's looking for designs and ideas of things that would help Maui be more sustainable. And I'll send that poster here to the website so that people can have access to that. But that looks like an exciting thing that's going to happen down there. We're going to try to get bamboo in, try to get people designing and using and joining. And
Did you get Zeth to talk about his IMO?
yeah, and also his apprenticeship program, because he's the coordinator for us for that.
Cool. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay, so natural farming is something that I've been interested in. There was a workshop. How long ago was Master Cho's first workshop on Big Island now?
Several years, huh?
I think a couple years ago. And I heard about it. I flew myself over to Big Island to do this 5-day intensive course. And yeah, I've been getting more and more into it ever since.
Became an IMO foe.
And so for those of you that aren't familiar with Korean natural farming or Asian, there's actually several types of Asian natural farming, Japanese natural farming, different veins that people have created. It works with a lot of traditional knowledge of culturing different microorganisms And there's all these preparations that are basically things that you can make at home with ingredients that you are either buying from a grocery store or making yourself. And it's really fascinating stuff. I could talk about IMO, which is kind of the basis for the, I'm going to switch sides, basis for the, it's like your compost in Korean natural farming. And what it is, IMO stands for indigenous microorganisms. It's beneficial microorganisms that you're harvesting from your local environment, culturing on a massive scale, and then using that to basically inoculate your land. It's a fertilizer. It's a balancing agent for your soil pH. It's a soil conditioner once it breaks down. It eats up your excess nutrients, competes with pathogens. It's kind of an all-in-one kind of thing. And the way you make that is really simple. You get cooked rice, you put it in a healthy ecosystem, like a healthy forest ecosystem. We actually culture ours under bamboo because bamboo actually happens to harbor one of the some of these really beneficial microorganisms that they just live in the bamboo leaf litter with the roots to break down all that extra organic matter that the bamboo is producing. So you're putting your rice in there, you're culturing it in there for a week, you're getting this vigorous white microorganism, white mold looking stuff growing on your rice. That process takes about a week. You're taking that, you're culturing that with brown sugar. Then you get kind of this goo, which is you're just further multiplying these microorganisms. You're taking that, you're hydrating that with water and using that to inoculate what we're using in our situation is mill run, and traditionally rice bran was used, and that's your substrate to make IMO 3. These are all, IMO 1 is on the rice, IMO 2 is with the sugar, IMO 3 is what they call pure spawn. So you're taking this sugary goo spawn and you're inoculating your mill run or rice bran with it.
Wheat, mill run of wheat.
Yeah, mill run of wheat, which they both work great. And then you're culturing that in the right conditions with just the right moisture content for another week, and you get that white microorganism just take over all of your mill run. And you got to turn every day. It gets real hot. You got to keep the temperature in the right range. Then you take that, you mix that half and half with your local soil. That makes IMO 4, which is kind of the basis of this method of Korean natural farming. And again, that's your fertilizer, that's your soil preparation, that you use it for everything. And
So what kind of results you guys find?
So what the results that I've been finding have in some cases been astounding, in other cases not too conclusive. I've been comparing it to our compost, which is pretty nice. We get really good results with our compost, but in certain cases the IMO is showing really good results with brassicas, with all the cabbage family plants. They seem to really like the IMO, which kind of makes sense. In Kipahulu, our soils tend to be pretty biologically active already. We have a lot of diversity in our soil. On our farm, we've taken a lot of care to keep and nurture that biodiversity in our soils. And now brassicas are an interesting plant because they don't form mycorrhizal associations. So they're really dependent on the saprophytes in the soil, your microorganisms that are breaking down the organic matter into compounds that are beneficial that the plants can readily absorb. And with this IMO, what you're really doing is you're cultivating these saprophytes, these decomposing microorganisms, and especially the really healthy aerobic ones, not your anaerobic microorganisms, which tend to produce compounds that the plants don't really want to use or that are toxic to them. You're cultivating these aerobic microorganisms that the byproducts of them eating everything up and breaking down is the perfect food for your plants. Brassicas being one that don't have these other associations, they tend to be real dependent on these decomposers, and having some really, like one test I did, I got 60% more higher yield in per area of, I was growing choy-sum. And so one patch had, a pound per 3-foot section. The section that I did IMO on had 1.6 pounds. It was 60% more from a small application of about a quart of this IMO at planting time. And I'm still learning all about this stuff. There's so many different preparations beyond the IMO, and then there's so much testing that needs to be done. I need a graduate student who's just doing that. I don't have the time or the diligence to do all the meticulous testing myself, but there's some impressive results, and we need to learn a lot more about it.
So you guys are implementing a lot of these on your farm and the IMOs?
Yep, we've been doing IMO tests. We've been using it in our nursery potting mix. We've been using it in our outplanting of trees, forest trees, understory crops.
And you're going to bring in BioChar, you're going to bring in make a retort?
Yeah, so if you go ahead a few, Jim, if you would, please. And see, these are just some examples of using bamboo in a house that we just put up on the farm, but keep going, I want to get, there's railings, these are all photographs. This is the waste of our bamboo harvesting in the last 9 months. So these are the curved pieces that we didn't think had, real easy marketability. And so we're putting in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a retort and start transforming this into biochar. We're really excited about that for the farm.
Peter Hurst is coming.
Peter will be
brought
here.
in for body and soil, he's going to put in the retort. And you got that as a grant through who?
NRCS for their Conservation Innovation Grant. And so part of that grant, there'll be a field day, an open house, probably after we're up and running and we can see some real results and we can tell you about the soils. In a couple of years, it's a 3-year grant. So thanks, everybody.
Right on.
Oh yeah. Well, we did it. It's 9 o'clock.